Hi, my name is Shwa and I am the host and founder of a podcast called Light Up with Shwa. It's on conscious living and parenting, and I do discuss other themes in this program. I would love to introduce my guest today. She is an amazing speech pathologist, if I am not wrong, and she will introduce herself. But before I introduce her, I would like you to say, I hope you have subscribed to the podcast, Light Up with Shwa. It is on YouTube to watch and listen, and you can find us on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, and Spotify. And you can connect with me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. So without further ado, let's speak to Rachel. Rachel, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for coming in our studios here.
Absolutely.
And would you like to please introduce yourself and what do you do?
Sure. My name is Rachel Aghara, and I am a speech and language therapist.
I was right.
Yeah, you got it right. My interest is in early language development and specifically bilingual language development or even multilingual language development.
Okay.
So I studied at a few different universities to get to the place where I am today, and I continue to have fun watching kids learn languages, and hopefully more than one.
So speech therapist and language therapist are two different things?
It's the same. The title is speech language therapist.
Oh, speech language
or
therapist.
speech language pathologist is the way we typically say it in the United States.
Okay.
But around the world, what a speech and language pathologist does is works with human beings who have some barrier to effective communication with other people.
So how do you differentiate? It starts early, at younger age?
So the work that I do primarily right now is in our birth to 3 population here in the United States. We call that early intervention or early childhood intervention.
Okay. So you find that if they have any issues in speaking any language, or it's just, and then you get into, so I'm trying to understand what is multilingual or bilingual, or like that is what you do, like you are able to help people with different languages and not only in English. Is that what it means?
Right. So in the United States, we definitely have speakers who use multiple languages. Our most recent census data shows about 350 different languages spoken in the United States.
Okay.
But I think we have the best grasp of what it looks like to learn English in the United States. So part of what my job is to help families and to help other practitioners understand what might be going on for a young learner if they're being exposed to more than one language at a time.
So
What do their skills mean? Should that be happening, or should we be looking at ways to support their development?
So were you, when you were younger, did you speak more, how many languages did you speak?
I grew up speaking only English.
Okay.
I learned my first additional language when I was 18 years old.
And which was?
Spanish.
Spanish, okay.
Yep,
so you are
Español.
Español.
I'm not fluent like a native speaker, but I use it daily for my work, and I enjoy using Spanish.
Okay, and what other languages do you speak?
So I'm also learning Gujarati, which is a language from my husband's family. And my Gujarati is not quite as good as my Spanish is, but I can manage in the home. I can figure out within our home and our friends circle most of what's going on.
So can you say that I am happy to be here in Spanish?
Sí, estoy muy feliz de estar aquí con usted.
That was long. Okay, thank you. And can you say that in Gujarati? Something similar?
Something similar. I can probably say que aya majama છે.
Okay, what is it? Majama છે? Okay. So you have this
I do. I can understand more than I can express in Gujarati. So that's definitely
I put her on the spot.
Level.
She was
that's
not
okay.
expecting
That's
that.
okay. If you want to ask about cooking, I can help you quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
In the kitchen, I'm a little bit better, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what just made you choose this field?
In my family, a lot of the people before me that I that I like, that I would think it's good to emulate, chose to be in some sort of a helping field. And many of the women before me were teachers. And I just assumed, because I had an interest in it, that I would be someone who helped to educate other people. And so when I decided on the university that I wanted to go to, when I was a high school senior, I found my university and I enrolled in their education program. And just before classes started, I thought, my goodness, I think I don't want to be a teacher in a classroom with 20 students. I don't think that's right for me at the very last minute. So I changed to something that I also thought would be interesting. It's a helping science. It is in education, but it's a nice, for me, it's a nice marriage of linguistics and medicine and education all together.
Nice.
So it was the right fit for me.
So would you say that you enjoy it? Like
Absolutely.
you love it?
Yeah.
So that's good. So you love it and that's why you're in it. So people should do what they really like and enjoy to do, right?
I think I'm lucky in that I
Okay.
found that. I figured it
Okay.
out. I don't think it's easy for everyone to find that sometimes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So let's begin with some parenting questions. I
Okay.
know that you are a parent
I am.
and you have 2 boys.
Yeah.
And they are 6 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you manage your work and
Probably like a lot of other people do. I'm not sure that I have it all figured out necessarily, but I try to. I feel like when children are young, they probably need a little bit more parenting and a little bit more support. So within our family, we've made those adjustments to make sure that there's someone available. I certainly grew up with having not only my parents but my extended family available. So that's important.
That's
for
nice.
me in parenting is to know that I'm available to them, but so is the rest of the family.
available means what?
Well, right now in our lives, there's a lot of pick up and drop off and driving around and making sure that they are able to meet their friends and do activities. So sometimes availability is a driver, but also when they're ready to have a conversation, when they're ready to learn, if they still, we're certainly at a place now where they don't necessarily need help every day with getting dressed, getting their basic
Oh,
needs
at 6
met.
and 8 they are
They
on their
still
own.
need some,
Okay,
but we
but
have
not-
some shining moments where they can
Okay.
also do it by themselves.
That's
and,
nice.
And so we're making that transition to some independence.
So how do you spend your time with them?
How do I spend my time? Oh, a lot of it is, I have 2 sons and they're 2 different people. So it really depends on what their interests are, I think. Sometimes one of them really loves to bake with me and I love to do baking. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something at the end of the task. Another one is really interested in reading, so sometimes we get together and we do a lot of nighttime reading. I think that's probably one of my favorite things with them is nighttime reading.
Do you pay too much attention on their language because of being who you
I'm
are?
interested, absolutely, absolutely.
you-
That's a good question.
Can
sure.
you get annoying for them or you are just
I think that I'm most interested in observing what's happening because maybe I'm a little bit more of a researcher. I'm concerned about it and I want to make sure I give them all the right inputs so that they have lots of opportunities to learn. But I think it's fun to watch them learn.
so have you introduced them to other languages?
Absolutely, yep.
How many?
So right now, when my first son was born, we did a lot of reading in Spanish because it was available and I had a little bit of time. And I think any other parent who hears me say this will understand that once you have more than one child, your time commitments change and your availability changes. And we sort of shifted to the language that was most available within the family and the one that they might identify with the most. So we put some more emphasis on Gujarati language,
Okay.
which they've
Interesting.
both been interested in and picked up on, and it's available to them
Nice.
in their environment.
Nice. So, do you think you were ready to be a parent when you decided to be a parent?
At the time, I thought I was, yes, and I think that we did decide to become parents.
Did you train yourself or prepare yourself?
I
any
felt
form?
like my education was part of the preparation for it.
Okay.
I'm not sure now in retrospect if I can say I was ready. I don't think any parent knows exactly what they're getting into until it happens.
Good.
Right.
Good. So, So how do you manage that if you find surprises while you are being a parent
Day to day.
day to day? Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Yep. And I look to my network. I look to my family and our friends to help out.
That's good.
And try and remind yourself to stay as healthy as you can so that when the next thing comes up, you can take care of it.
So is parenting about you or the child?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
How?
There are days when I feel like if I don't get it right, who else is going to? There is
Okay.
no one else for these individuals who is as invested as I am. And there are days when I think if I don't step back from this a little bit, they won't be able to come in and become an individual.
Okay.
So,
So you
both.
do let them be on their own, like be their own selves.
I try to.
Okay. So you're not an authoritative parent? Would you?
When it's necessary, I am.
Well, necessary. That's a very
When I think it's necessary.
ambiguous word. Okay, necessary. Well, okay. Let me
When-
challenge you a little more.
When the bus is coming down the road and I need them to be on the bus, I may become a little more
Yeah, like,
authoritative.
okay, come on, let's
Exactly.
go. Well, we all do that. Yeah. Okay. But they are usually on time, right?
No. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So, how did you feel when you were growing up with your parents?
I think I had a very happy childhood.
You did.
I felt very safe. I felt like we had everything we needed. It was
That's a
nice.
blessing.
Yeah,
That's a blessing.
absolutely.
So I'm sure that that's what you give to your children.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So, do they complain about you in any form or shape? Your children?
My children?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. I think they're normal people.
So are the complaints more than do they appreciate? Let's put it this way.
I think so. Yes.
They do.
I think
How?
so. I feel that they do. I think they know that mom
Like
and
by
dad are
saying
doing
or
their best.
doing something. Oh,
Both.
okay.
And I think they learn to do that by seeing the rest of us in the family also appreciate each other.
Can you
So-
give an example? Something that people can relate to?
Sure, they can. I think they can tell when the day has gotten long for us in our family, and we're trying to get the last things done and sort of start to relax. And they can see on mom's face if she's preparing to relax or if she's feeling agitated. And they'll come over and give me a hug.
Oh,
or
nice.
They say, "Oh, Mom, don't worry."
Do they offer like we will do this, don't worry, or something?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's nice. So which role do you like? Being what your profession is? You're being a mother, being a wife,
Both.
being okay. Both. Which one?
I like. I think I'm happy in all the roles that I get
Oh,
to play
really?
in my life right now.
Which role do you do not like? Or prefer less? Let's put it this way.
I think whichever one is making me feel the most stress at the moment. You know, if
So it
my
changes.
yeah, if
Okay.
if someone in my family is sick, then I feel a little bit more stress about that situation. Or if there's something that I need to get done for work and I know I have to put everything else aside, then maybe that becomes a little more difficult balance.
So how would you rate yourself as a parent?
What's my scale? 1 to 10?
1 to 10. Let's put it this way.
Most times I think I could maybe come out at a 7. There are days when I'm pretty sure I'm close to 0 and it doesn't feel good, but we have all survived so far.
Okay. So do you see that parenting is something that everybody should prepare for to become one, or do you think that we are naturally born, we have this instinct of being parent?
I think it's very worthwhile for each person, if they find themselves in that situation, to think about whether or not they do want to be parents before it happens. And I know that's not true for everyone,
Right.
but I don't know that we can ultimately be completely prepared. I think it changes over time. Even if you're prepared for the first week after they're born, you're not prepared for the second week.
Wow. Okay, good. It's good to admit and acknowledge
Yep.
that. That's wonderful. I guess makes it easier to not to be, so judgmental about ourselves, right?
We can say it. It's still hard maybe to pull back the judgment, though.
Okay,
I still
okay.
feel like I judge.
Okay. Okay. All right. So are your children and you, now I can see that you have an intercultural marriage. So so the faiths are different too?
So I was, my husband comes from a background of Hinduism. My mother's religious background is Christian, and my father's family background is Jewish.
Oh,
so
interesting. Already intercultural
yeah, exactly.
and interfaith,
Already growing
actually.
up for me, there were bridges that need to be built and crossed, and I think I understood some of it. I was exposed a little to each kind of faith growing up. I probably had the most exposure to Christianity.
You need to add a Muslim now into your
There we go.
sphere, because then you will become Abrahamic faith, intercultural
There we
interfaith,
go.
right?
That would be fine.
Right. So do you teach your children about these faiths or any other faiths? Like,
So for me, I think my own personal faith is very individualized.
okay. So you practice Christianity? Or
Not in the way that probably other Christians practice,
Okay.
but nor do I think it's fair to say that I practice Judaism.
oh, okay.
I feel like I have been introduced to lots of different ways of being spiritual and being faithful, and maybe I've selected from the menu. But yes, it was important to me, knowing when I was getting married, I felt it was very important for my children to have a strong faith exposure. And even if it was to a single one, that was okay for me, because I feel like it's very guiding in life, and I think that that's helpful.
Right. So I'm thinking, so you must be an open person in order for you to go into a different faith and culture and all. And you have been born and brought up in United States.
In the United States.
And which type of Christian, like Catholic Christian or Episcopal? Which one? Your
The one down the street. So my parents were married in a Baptist church.
Okay.
The one that I attended with my mother was a Methodist church.
Okay.
And I think that in general, what I took from my upbringing is that having a faith group around you is what's important.
Okay.
Is that extending your support beyond your family is what faith is about.
That sounds good. So, are you familiar with any other faiths? So let's talk about first. What do you like about your practices in faith? What do you appreciate?
I think the support. I think that for a lot of people in my family who do practice, it provides a stability and a support, knowing that a decision that you make is going to be supported by other people. The reasoning that you're doing it is also supported by other people. I think that's it's good for our human mental health to have that.
Good, nice, good to know that. So that way you are also able to deal with all kinds of intercultural, interfaith people without being too hesitant, I guess.
I hope so, because what I see is even if the decision doesn't come to the same outcome as what I would make, or even if the reason behind it isn't the same, what I believe is that each person should be allowed to make that decision and have confidence in the choice they've made.
Any misconceptions about Christianity, or do you want to talk about that way, or do you want to tell us, like, are you more like a Buddhist, or like it's a combination, but is it Christianity?
I'm not sure that it's fair for me to say that I practice Christianity the way that many Christians would call themselves Christians. I was confirmed in the church, so that many times faiths have sort of an acceptance ceremony or something that you go through. But my practice is very individualized. I think it really is very much sort of a larger idea that people are meant to be here to help each other, and I feel like I'm here to be part of that, to be part of the group and to help people.
So, but Christianity believes in God, right? And Hinduism believes in God too, but then in a form of God, right?
Yeah.
So that is different than Christianity and Judaism. Judaism is one God, just like Muslims. So how do you incorporate all that? Do you incorporate Hinduism in your practice?
I think maybe my mind is perhaps a little bit more scientific. I believe in the idea that there is something outside of me that I don't get to have control of, and I don't necessarily feel like I need to control that.
Okay.
So it takes a little pressure off me in my life sometimes, and I think that's what faith does for you. I like the stories of Christianity. I like the stories of Hinduism that I've learned, and those are probably the two faiths that I know the most about at this point in my life. They're not that far away from each other. So in getting married and learning about Hinduism, I learned that there's really sort of an idea of a trinity to God. It comes in multiple forms, and there are three primary parts. And in Christianity, we very much talk about God as a trinity. So I think that for me, it's been exciting to learn more and to see more similarities than differences necessarily.
So this is keeping, go ahead please, keeping your relationship with these faiths, and you, seems like that you are, you give importance to relationships, right?
Yeah.
So, so what is the key to keep a good relationship?
Oh, if I knew that.
Well, you are keeping all these relationships.
I'm trying to, sure.
There must be something that you're doing right. Otherwise,
patience, I guess.
Okay.
Listening, trying to understand someone else's point of view,
so
I think is
listening
important.
is such a common, you know, habit, and also this word keeps coming from every guest I ask. That it's important. That's why I want to point it out. That listening and patience, not very many people say, but yes, that is important. So patience, listening, and what else?
I think that throughout my life, probably what my faith comes from is a constant redefining of what I think is important and what I hope from people around me. So for me, it's important to talk to people to find out what they need, and hopefully I'm integrating that into what I think and the way I act next time I meet someone.
Nice. Good. She's prepared.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of anything?
Heights. I'm not very tall, and I think there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Am I afraid
That's a
of
good way to
something?
put it. Okay.
I'm afraid. I think that something that does make me uneasy, and this has always been from the time I was a little girl, is to have someone think poorly of me.
Oh. So then, does that make you a people pleaser?
I think so, probably.
Oh, okay. So would that exhaust you?
Sure does. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And in my quest to sort of redefine who I am and who I think about, it also makes me think, should I please other people or should I be pleasing myself? What's the balance? Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to explore that more, but I will not do that at this time, I think. Okay, so let's get to the last leg of questions. What is wealth in your experience?
Oh. It's not related to money.
Okay.
It is, wealth definitely is related to a sense of physical well-being and mental well-being for me.
For you?
Yeah.
That's nice. What is the value of gratitude in your life?
That's something that I'm currently working on now. I think gratitude is something that's probably really important for everyone. I think that we have some, I'm very research-based. I look at science a lot. I think it guides me. And I know that there are a lot of studies recently that show people who really experience gratitude or practice it can achieve that mental well-being. I think I'm still working on that personally. I'd like to continue to.
So working on what? Like to be
making sure that I can feel grateful, that I can see what does make me happy, and maybe let go of the things that make me feel too thoughtful sometimes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you conscious about the environment? Do you care about recycling? And
I try to. I try to recycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you reduce and then recycle, or do you recycle?
I think I have a balance. I think we try to. I am very aware, because I've lived in many different places, of my own lifestyle choices and how that impacts the environment. I try to do the best that I can, and still function throughout the day and all the tasks that I'm being asked to do for my job, for my family.
So, being scientific, do you believe that there is an issue with the environment?
I think that there probably is. There's probably something that we can do. I think any move that we make, and I think this is both scientific and philosophical, any choice that we make will have some sort of an impact. So if we can make a choice that we think has a healthy impact, that would be a nicer choice to make.
So can you give an example of a good healthy choice that you make which contributes to the environment?
To the environment.
Yeah.
I try very hard to make sure within our home that we're using our food resources the best that we can. I think that I spend a little bit more time thinking about that because I know that physical nutrition that goes into our bodies is going to be important for everyone in our family. But also, if I can manage the food resources well, then I'm not overusing something that someone else could use.
Okay.
So we try a little bit of composting. I'm dabbling in that.
Okay.
We try.
That's good. That's good. What is the purpose of your life?
Well, I am not 100% sure, and I think it probably has changed over time for me.
Okay.
I think in general, it's to be part of what's going on around me and to make the best contributions that I can.
Okay. So now that I realize that you're more scientific, do you believe in afterlife?
I believe. Yeah, in some ways, but maybe not in the same vocabulary, in the same way that other people may believe about it. I believe that there is a continuation of our energy, of our thoughts, of our feelings. I think that I still have memories of people who are not here, and I believe that's an important continuation of the people who are not here now. So that's satisfying for me, at least in my individual faith, to know that if I can do right by someone now, then that contribution might last longer than my physical being here.
Nice.
So I try.
Good. Any message of hope that you would like to give?
Oh, I'm not sure.
What would you say to your children?
What would I say to my children? That they're very loved. That they're here because people wanted them to be here, and that we're giving them the best that we have, and we hope that they would continue that.
So how do you start your day? With hope, or with you have a schedule that you?
My day starts. It starts
in brief,
pretty
because we are ending.
Yeah,
but I just wanted to
it
see
starts pretty similarly each day. For me, it's a physical wake up. I do have to break the fast in order to make my day start. But I do think that I am each morning when I wake up, I'm thinking about the steps for the rest of the day.
Okay. All right. So my last question.
Yeah.
What lights you up?
What lights me up? Oh, what do I like? Whenever I think of dancing, I feel pretty happy.
Oh.
I don't get to do it necessarily a lot, but it makes me think of fun from my childhood. It makes me think of meeting my husband. It makes me think of times that I get to spend with my kids. I enjoy that.
So do you dance regularly, or no? Not as much as you said.
Yeah. When we turn on the radio, I just enjoy it.
Any specific dance?
All of the above. I like to move.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.